In '48, Wallace announced that he would run for president, and we formed, along with people in other states, both the Youth for Wallace and Students for Wallace, and hoped to build a youth movement around this. And at the same time, the party reconstituted the Communist Youth section of the party. So I was a part of that. And it just happened at that time that Minneapolis got its first car wash. They were new then. And this guy, just a single owner, and he had a square block in downtown Minneapolis parking lot, and he put a car wash in the middle of it. And Sam Davis, who had been the editor of Minnesota Labor before the CIO split, and who was a good reporter, wound up as a reporter for The Worker because he got thrown out of his job as the head of Minnesota Labor. But being a reporter, he noticed that all the workers at this car wash were black, young black people. He thought, I wonder how that happened, because it's Minneapolis. So he brought his car in to get it washed, and being a very skilled reporter, by the time they'd washed his car, he had the whole story. They had been brought to Minnesota from Alabama, and they were working for about 50 cents an hour, and they were putting in a 60-hour week many times. Well, this is outrageous. Now, wages were not high in those days, maybe $1.25, maybe $1.35 union, maybe a little more in skilled trades, but they were not high. But 50 cents an hour and no overtime is too much. So he called both the Civil Rights Congress, because this is a civil rights issue, and the UE, who had all the garages and stuff in Minneapolis. Hey, get somebody over here. These guys need a union. And then they told the youth about it. So in the name of Students or Youth for Wallace, we did a leaflet telling people the facts. And we stood there and we turned away 98% of the cars. There's always a couple of jokers who want their car washed and they don't care what the situation is. But 98% of them were outraged and they drove away. And not only was this guy losing them that day, he's going to lose them forever. Because they've got him down as a real jerk. So the union rep came over at the Civil Rights Congress, and this guy fired all the workers. So they had to do a new leaflet, fired for trying to join the union, blah, 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 and what the wages were. Well, that was just as effective. So of course, this is an easy strike. It's one guy, Well, he surrendered, and he finally decided to sign with the union, and the young people got the wages they were entitled to and their overtime and so on, and of course we called off the leaflets. But for me it was a very instructive experience. And the party also brought over seasoned trade unionists, a comrade who had helped organize the Pullman workers earlier, to talk to these young people and explain to them all about what the union was about, because they had really no experience either. And they were concerned that all this hubbub was going to cost them their jobs. And they really didn't want to go back to Alabama. And so they had to be reassured that this was going to help them. And so they came over and talked with them. And so finally it was all settled, and life went on as usual.